Welcome to our seventh video on our series on the effect of demand shocks in the economy, particularly in employment. In this video, we're going to be covering the solution to the model when a crisis hits, but prices do not adjust. We're going to see that the effects are going to be slightly different, with less adjustment happening across sectors and a stronger negative effect on the employment of the non-tradable sector. Okay, so the first thing to remember is that if prices are not adjusting, the economy is not going to be in equilibrium. And so in particular, we're going to see that there is going to be unemployment in this economy. We can recall from two videos ago that the prices in the normal times, when demand is equal to 1 everywhere, are given by 1 over A for the non-tradable sector, 1 over B for the tradable sector, and wages equal to 1. The effect in this case is very easy to get. The only thing we need to check is what the demand is going to be on non-tradables, what the demand is going to be of tradables, and then how much labor is required to supply that demand. So when non-tradables are going to be demanded, they get the effect of the lower demand shock. The price is going to be fixed. And what you see here is that regardless of the county, they all go down. As long as they are being shocked with the new delta, and the delta is going to be positive, it's going to be a negative demand shock, then the demand for non-tradables is going to go down. And as a consequence, the amount of employment in the non-tradable sector has to go down as well. And so one difference with the previous case is that regardless of who you are and how hard hit you are, non-tradable employment is going to go down. But it is still true that the larger the hit is, the larger this delta is, the lower the demand, the harder the hit on non-tradable employment. So we retain this pattern that the counties that are hardest hit by the demand shock, in this case we're thinking that demand shock comes because of a decline in the price of housing. So lower price in housing lowers the wealth of consumers, which lowers demand. And as demand gets lower, the lower it is, the lower non-tradable employment is. Turning to tradable employment, even though the conditions look a bit weirder, they're a bit more complicated, the same pattern arises. Lower demand means lower tradable employment. But because there's going to be lower demand everywhere, then we also know that tradable employment, it's also going to go down everywhere. But unlike non-tradable employment, tradable employment goes down according to the average shock and not to the shock in each county. And so what we should observe is that all the counties are going to be affected in their tradable employment, but that there is no difference across counties in how affected they are. Instead, non-tradable employment should be directly related to how affected each county is. And so we can summarize this in the following way. Prices are going to be fixed, so the decline in nominal demand translates directly into a decline in real demand for consumption. Because there is less demand, that's going to lower the amount of labor used in production, and that's true in both tradable and non-tradable, but the reaction is not the same. So they both go down, but tradable goods are sold across all counties, and this helps to smooth out the effect of the shock. Remember, tradable employment goes down according to the average shock, while non-tradable employment goes down according to the specific shock of each county. So non-tradable employment has to take the full hit of the county shock. And as a result, it's going to have a larger decrease in counties that are hardest hit. Total employment loss in each county, it's going to be a mix of total and aggregate shock, while under flexible prices, tradable employment will have increased to make up some of the effect of the non-tradable shock. Okay? So this is something interesting because it's something that we can verify in the data. And so in the last video of this series, we're gonna go back to the data and check if the data can tell us something about which type of effect is more likely to be occurring in the aftermath of a big demand shock like the one of the 2007-2009 crisis in the Great Recession.